host Buffalo this weekend at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon at the Deutsch for homecoming. Go ahead with questions for Coach Babers.
How frustrated are you with the defense?
I'm not frustrated with the defense at all. I think the defense has had some very good offenses that they've gone against, and they've suffered some major injuries. That's really had those guys playing with one hand behind their back. I think as we start to get healthier during the season, and we start to get some of those injured players back, that the defense will be just fine.
Game one, though, Ryland Ward was there, DJ Lynch was there, and you still gave up 59. Is there something scheme-wise that's not working? Is it player-wise, or is it a whole thing? What do you think it is? Or is it just too many young guys?
I just think that those guys needed to settle a little bit. You know, it was a blending. The first game was a blending of two systems. Since then, we've kind of moved back, even though you haven't had the results that you wanted to have. We've really started to simplify things and try to let those guys play a lot more than think.
Coach, would you talk a little bit about what you see from Buffalo offensively? Would you talk a little bit about their offensive line especially?
You know, big physical young men. The offensive, the head coach, Coach Quinn, is obviously an ex-offensive line coach, so I'm sure he prides himself in making sure that his offensive line represents what he wants his football team to represent. You can see that he takes a lot of pride in those young men, and there's a lot of pride in that group. They're very large individuals that play the game, I would say, to the echo of the whistle. They try to play a very, very physical style, which you can see on tape.
Going up against a run defense that, setting aside Wisconsin's been very strong this year, I mean, is that kind of the butting of heads when Buffalo has the ball, their line, against your run defense?
Yeah, I really thought it was the key last week was the way our offensive line and defensive line played against UMass, and I think it's the key every week. I think that their offensive line versus our D-line and our offensive line versus their D-line is going to be the key to the game.
Can you win a MAC title like this?
Like what?
Giving up 40 a game, giving up 600 yards a game. Can you win shootouts every single week and still win a MAC title, you think?
Last time I checked, if you score 1 point more than your opponent, you're allowed to get the W.
And is that the bottom line, just whatever it takes?
Winning normally keeps me seated here, and normally people are happy if we win. Yes, sir.
Offense was talking about coming into the season, 60 points a game. Not quite there, but I mean, still putting up a lot of points. Do you feel like you're going to get towards the 60-point, or do you feel like you're on all cylinders right now?
You got to ask your question again. Did you say we were? What did you say about 60 points?
They said coming into the season, Maddie said they wanted to put up 60 points a game.
Maddie said that.
Yeah, yeah. And DJ said that the defense just wanted to give up fewer than 60.
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I think that we're continuing to get better on both sides. I think that there was a lot of mistakes on offense, obviously a lot of mistakes on defense, and we're just trying to eliminate those mistakes so that we can get better every single time that we're out. I think the really key to a football team, I've said it before, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, is that you have to be better than you were the last time that you were out. The last time we played a football game, our defense was on the field, they got a turnover and we won the game. And we just want to continue to get better and continue to grow, be green and growing, not red and rotten, where we're continually, every Saturday, being a better football team than we were the Saturday before. And then whatever happens at the end happens at the end. But we have to be in a rush to get better. We have to get better. We wish we were better yesterday. And we have to continue to have that attitude of trying to be the best that we can be.
Seemed like on the defensive side of the ball, Coach, you really made a concerted effort to turn up the pressure against UMass. Obviously resulted in some success, some lost yardage on plays for them, some sacks. Is that a concerted effort on the defensive side of the ball, just to take some pressure off the defensive backfield? What's the thought process for that?
Well, we always felt that our defense, we've always said that our defense is going to be as aggressive as our offense is. Based off of some of the opponents we have, it's hurt us and it's helped us. Now that the playing field starts to level out, I think you start to really get a better feel for what we're trying to do on defense.
James alluded to the fact that the playbook isn't, I guess, been 100% open since he stepped in at quarterback. Is it starting to expand a little bit more week by week as he's in there with these guys?
I'm missing the first part of your question. Did you say he said it was open?
He
for
said
him?
it hasn't been open 100% since he stepped in, but it's starting to get there. Can you kind of talk about how it's opening as we go week by week with him under center?
We have to get a better feel for James. You know, like I said, we only believe in getting one quarterback ready. So we were getting Matt ready. When Matt went down, we have to reintroduce ourselves to James and find out exactly what he likes and what he doesn't like. If James doesn't like something, we're not going to do it because he's the guy that's driving the car. So as we get a better feel for him, we can open up more things for him. But again, it comes down to execution and making sure that he's still executing at a high level where offensively it doesn't work.
Coach, obviously there's young players playing all over the field on defense, but Sanford and Stevens were the two that made the big play at the end of the Massachusetts game. How much confidence does that give you going forward, knowing that some of the younger players you have are making big plays and stuff in that league?
You know, we talked about that Wisconsin game. The end of the game was a blessing. There were some guys that got in the game that normally weren't in that did some things that opened our eyes and thought that they should have an opportunity to play a little bit more. I think the end of the Massachusetts game with both of those young men being on the football field and making that play for us to win in that last drive just goes to show you once again that you just don't want to pigeonhole somebody just because they may not have started off 2-A's or the early part of the season the way that as a coach you might have liked or the way they may have liked. You have to keep an open mind and always be open to those young men growing and getting better, and as they get better, giving them the opportunity that they deserve.
We talked a little bit after the game about the penalties, having a chance to look at them on film. Was there, I mean, some are penalties of being aggressive and some are mistakes. How did that break down? How did that weigh down?
Well, you know, I can't talk about exact calls, but I thought for the most part that the officials were correct, and for the things that for the players that were wrong, we had a penalty box party Tuesday morning before practice. We're going to start a new tradition because I love hockey so much, and our hockey team is so doggone good here that we have a penalty box party now on Tuesdays. And we had a great time at that party. And then after the party was over, we had a nice little discussion while everybody else was still practicing. And we handed them some water, and then we let them go back to practice. And hopefully, because of that party, we'll have less people invited next Tuesday.
What goes on at these parties?
Oh, physical things.
All right.
So this is not a party you really want to have an invitation to? Is that the idea?
Well, if you get an invitation, you're coming, though. I would say that.
Last time you guys were at home, Coach, of course, Indiana was in town, had a full house, great atmosphere, and you mentioned that the crowd played a big part in picking up that victory. I'm sure it's probably important to have a lot of folks in the stands this weekend as well.
Well, we're hoping for a great crowd. Anytime you're playing a team like Buffalo with the type of offense that they have, that a very, very loud crowd can affect you anywhere from 7 to 11 points in a football game if they're loud at the right moment, especially when they're down in the red zone. I know we've got some students that can be really excitable, and we hope that they get their rest the night before and they give the University of Buffalo all the energy that we can give them to make it difficult for their offense when they're on the football field.
Anything else, guys? All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.